episode 42, part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the Three Quarters Podcast. We'd like to remind you to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas as they are still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. And as we are all about promoting sports and sports travel, we've partnered with Moran Sports Travel to give you this brilliant offer for the Dubai Sevens on the 1st and 2nd of December. So for only $999 US dollars, you get to enjoy the full Dubai experience over and above the rugby, which is your desert safaris, your nighttime barbecues, and your Dhow cruise. This and much more coming up on your screen.
This is Ngash, your official noisemaker. Jeringus, Kenyana.
So, Bad Man of the Week comes from the Sepetuka Sevens tournament. And before you say yours, mine, you know, ladies first.
Yeah,
so
true.
mine is Brian Tanga from Cabras Rugby. He's, small in stature, obviously, for people who have seen him. But for those of you who haven't, very small guy, but very quick on his feet. And the way he opens up a defense is just something else. So, yes, mine is Brian Tanga.
That's true. And for those guys, just to echo what you've said, for those guys who don't know who Brian Tanga is, of course we interviewed him as the winning captain for Cabras. So just watch our videos, you'll be able to see who Brian Tanga is. But anyway, for me, it's Mark Kwemoy, Impala, Resolution Impala Saracens utility back. Kwemoy, you can actually see his game has been improving from Driftwood, Kabeberry, Prince Lou and the works. He had a very exceptional tournament. He was the top point scorer. And I liked the way because he was operating off the first receiver. I liked the way he was able to marshal his backline, of course, Samuel Leach and Mutari, how he combined with Samson and Somu, who actually had a very good tournament.
Very, very good tournament, yes.
But yeah, Leonard Gacy, Samson and Somu, but my guy was Mark Kwemoy because not too many people know him, number one. 2, he's a young person, and 3, he's actually coming up the ranks at Impala. So that's
through the academy all the way.
Exactly. So that's my bad man of the week.
Which means these systems actually work.
They do. They do.
A few clubs.
Okay, now going on to Rugby 101, where guys get to know things about rugby, whether it's lingo, whether it's terms on the pitch. Yes, take it away.
So we've decided to take a break from the more technical terms and just talk about something that you have to experience whenever you go to watch a Kenya game. Not necessarily when you watch the club games, but you have to watch it when you go for a Kenya international game or the Safari Sevens when Kenya is playing. So this week we'll be discussing about the Kayumbet. The Kayumbet, by the way, before we get into what exactly it is in rugby, is a term that's normally used in the rugby fraternity to discuss or to define the night scene. So tunaenda Kayumbet, we're going out or we're going to the disco, whatever you want to say. So that's a Kayumbet. But anyway, in rugby, the Kayumbet can take many forms depending on what they call the fanometer. And it's a dance that normally happens whenever Kenya score a try. Be sure you note what it is. So it's basically just a set of crowds going, in a circle movement, and it's normally prevalent in the noisiest of stands. Kitambo, it used to be Russia or Tusker. Nowadays it's Ngong Road. You see it a lot on Ngong Road, and as I've said, it's something you'll definitely witness if you go to watch a Kenya game. Just to echo the words of Old Shep Ball's Pogindonga, he said that it's amazing how this simple movement still baffles him to date. I'll join him on that. It is very simple, but it's something very electric whenever you go to watch a Kenya rugby game. So our Rugby 101 term for today is the Kayumbet.
It's coming back to Russia with the official noisemaker. It's coming back.
Retired. But anyway,
Okay, so on to the Rugby World Cup. World Rugby are looking to, they are yet to announce who wins the rights to host the Rugby World Cup in 2023. We've got South Africa, France, and Ireland. What do you have to say about this?
Of course, the 3 countries have already submitted their bids to gain rights or to win the rights to host the 2023 World Cup. Just to look at the 3 bids, of course, South Africa because of the vastness of the country, they have 8 stadia allocated for this tournament. We're talking about Ellis Park, Soccer City, which is now called the National Stadium, Greenpoint, which is now called Cape Town Stadium. Of course, many of these stadiums are the ones that are built for the 2010 World Cup. It's going to be in 7 cities across South Africa, and they have government backing of about 160 million euros in guarantees, which is 40 million euros over and above what is prescribed by World Rugby. There's also the fact that it's in Africa, so it's a very good move, and also you have to look at the fact that at the time when the Rugby World Cup is happening, which is normally in the later stages of the year, it is actually summer or heading towards summer in South Africa. So it would be very good, pristine conditions for rugby at that time. That's South Africa. So that's what work, but that's what is working for South Africa.
Yeah.
What's not working for South Africa? The economy is in problems, number one, and number two, it's quite evident that the South Africa Rugby Union, i.e. SARU, does not have the full backing from their government. Yes. We all know what's happening in South Africa in the political climate. Therefore, that's their problem in terms of the bid. We go to the next country, which is Ireland. Ireland is a new bid. They've never hosted the Rugby World Cup. They've been able to get a couple of things in order in terms of, for bid purposes at least, like they are doing, they're getting a legally binding agreement between the Irish government and hotels in England to make sure that the prices do not escalate past 2021. There's also the fact that Ireland is, as I've said, it's a new market in terms of Rugby World Cup. There's also the issue of it's a fully government-backed bid. Therefore, you can cash in. You don't even need corporates. You don't need to raise money. You can cash in immediately in terms of it being a government bid. There are a couple of things that are riding for the Irish bid.
Yes.
But the biggest problem is 2 things. Number one, Ireland doesn't have the best weather. That's number one. Number 2, their inexperience in terms of running a competition of this magnitude. So that's what's working against Ireland. The next guys are France. France, what's working for them is that they have experience in hosting big tournaments. We have the 2007 Rugby World Cup, we have the 1998 FIFA World Cup, we have the 2016 Euro Championships. They have a 300 million euros. Rather, they have 300 million euros in terms of backing from corporate and government. So they're not I don't think there are problems with regard to money. But what's working against France is the number one, there's the issue about security. It wasn't as big in 2016, or it was, but they were able to contain it. There's the issue about, look, it was just 2 World Cups ago we were in France, or 3 World Cups ago we were in France. So going back to France yet we haven't gone to a new market is a problem.
The thing about spreading the game.
Exactly. And I think the biggest issue is Bernard Laporte. Anyone who's followed rugby for a while will remember the image of a bald guy in specs of the 2007 World Cup celebrating when France knocked out New Zealand in Cardiff in the quarterfinals. He was the head coach then. He's been Secretary of Sports for France, and he's currently the chairman of the French Rugby Union. He has ties to the Syrian owner of Montpellier, and it's said that there have been shady dealings and there's conflict of interest. As we speak right now, there's actually investigations happening, and actually French President Emmanuel Macron has not really backed the French bid. So those are the problems they're having, and those are the pros and cons for all the bids of the 3 countries.
Well, with Ireland's bid, I think, as you had mentioned, I think it's the most commercially risk-free bid that you could have. Then it's a new market. I'd like to see rugby, as you said, be diversified. Let it move to a different market. Coming to France, there's a bit concern that they have won the bid to host the Olympics in 2024.
Paris, that is.
Yes, that's a year after the Rugby World Cup. So there's concern that they may be washed down because of that. It's the same case with Japan, hosting the 2019 Rugby World Cup and the 2020 Olympics. So that may be a bit tricky for France. It might not play well for them. South Africa, they've hosted it once back in 1995. I think, personally, I'd like to go to South Africa.
Don't we all?
Simply because it's cheaper, closer to home. And it's way much cheaper compared to France in terms of the hotels and everything. So I'd like to see it come to South Africa, but the best choice I think would have been Ireland, because it's a different market, simply because it's a different market. Yeah.
Okay.
It's up to wait till November.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
The good thing is that they don't have a vote. The guy is bidding. It's the rest of other unions. I think we will dwell on it further much later.
Okay, now moving on to the Rugby Championship, where SA played Australia, ended in a draw. That's the second draw for them. And we had Argentina and New Zealand, game of two halves, 36-10 in the end. So yeah, what do you guys have to say about that?
South Africa versus Australia was a very good game in terms of backline movement. I liked what the two flyers did, Elton Yantis and Bernard Foley. Draw 27-27 in South Africa. Of course, Australia will be looking at it as a plus as they fight out to see who finishes second. 10-36 to New Zealand, them still in the Rugby Championship, still unbeaten in the Rugby Championship. It was expected. Kieran Reid getting 2 tries. We just wait and see now how New Zealand wrap up the Rugby Championship. Yeah, and I don't think they'll slow down. I think they'll still beat South Africa once they come to South Africa. Going forward, but I'd like to see the Springboks really stepping up, the likes, and also the Aussies. They really need to step up the game, because All Blacks have really set a high standard of rugby that other teams need to really step up and get to that level. Come World Cup, we'd like to see proper matches. Yeah.
But I mean, with the SA game, just so one thing before we move on and finish, I think we're always complaining about kickers, especially here. Oh, we don't have kickers, but this guy missed his kick, right? And that would have won the game.
Again, it's South Africa. What did you expect? These guys have just been monkeys.
Oh my God.
My team, I love them, yes, but I didn't expect him to slot it in. It was too much pressure.
You heard it from Gusale himself. All right, guys, remember you can follow us on Instagram, like our page on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Demima Duffield.
This is Nyasha, official noisemaker.
Jeringus Kenyana.
Stay tuned for part 3.